In 1841, Joseph Richardson of Kinderhook, New York, packed his family into an ox-drawn wagon and did what many young Americans did at that time. He left the comforts and goodwill of his longtime home in the Hudson River Valley and headed into the wilderness. With hopes of finding land to pursue his passion of farming, Joseph and his family ended up in a small town named Rochester, later known as Sheboygan Falls. Not long after arriving in Sheboygan Falls, Joseph purchased 200 acres of land. His first task was finding a way to clear that land and cut down many hundreds of fully grown trees and haul them away. Joseph's brother-in-law, Egbert Burhans, came to assist in the removal of these trees with the promise of a 2-year supply of timber. Egbert brought with him the skills of a mechanic and the knowledge of the building and operation of sawmills. In 1848, they built a sawmill on the Mullet River and began their business as the Joseph Richardson Company. Joseph's 12-year-old son, Jairus, quickly took to the business, and with 3 other sons coming up, Joseph Richardson saw the mill as part of his family's future. By 1868, they had incorporated a lathe mill and began to provide a range of building materials, such as the lathing and sash for finish work on houses that were also framed and sided with beams and boards from the family business. In 1876, the family sawmill and lumber business was renamed to Richardson Brothers, as Joseph had sold it to his sons some years before. Another major step for the Richardsons took place in this period when they began the manufacturing of wooden cheese boxes. This was a promising line, with dairy farms flourishing and railroads operating throughout the area. Cheese was a major export to large markets in Milwaukee, Chicago, and beyond. And the Richardsons had mastered the art of cutting hardwood, steaming strips, and rolling them into veneers. In the early 1880s, a fight broke out in a local tavern, a real brawl as it was later described. The tavern was left in shambles, not a stick of furniture intact, and the owner ready to make some changes. The tavern owner made a visit to the sawmill and cheesebox factory. "Chairs," he said, "and this time I want some that can really take it." Could the Richardsons build them? Will Richardson, who was doing most of the selling at this time, said that they could. They'd rig some steam-bending equipment adapted from that used for the cheese boxes and make a bowback from a single piece of hardwood. Armrests would mean a more complicated bend, but that would make it stronger still. And just to be sure, they could put some iron rods at strategic points. So the tavern owner refurnished his place, and sure enough, the chairs were the strongest in the county. Realizing their success with the refurnishing of the tavern, by 1882, the Richardsons had built a factory and started manufacturing chairs. In the mid-1930s, Jairus Richardson founded J.S. Richardson to design and produce woodworking equipment. Among the first machines to be developed, which are still being used, are the bending machines, resaw attachment, boring and chucking machines, knives, and cutter heads. One of the boring and chucking machines was known as the Type X. Almost every baby crib produced in the United States since 1939 had its key manufacturing performed by this machine. In addition, J.S. Richardson produced equipment for the spinning and turning of wood golf club heads, bowling pins, guitar necks, hammer handles, and duck decoys. In 1942, the company engages in the wartime production of walnut handguards for M1 rifles. By the late 1950s, Richardson Brothers joined up with another company, Nemshoff, and had begun producing and marketing high-fashion furniture. And with high fashion came a high level of craftsmanship and an extreme attention to detail and design. In the early 1960s, Joe Richardson Sr. added prefabricated building trusses to the company's product offerings. By 1962, this division was known as Richco Structures. In 1973, as a result of some reorganization, Richardson Industries is created as a new corporation including divisions dedicated to furniture, lumber, and truss units. In 1982, a plant opens in Haven, Wisconsin, initially to produce wall panels for the Richardson Homes unit, and later for Richco Structures building trusses. In 1998, Richardson Industries celebrates 150 years of operation and is recognized as one of Wisconsin's oldest family-owned businesses. In 2002, Richardson Industries introduces the Richardson Yacht Interior Division, which focuses on producing the highest quality yacht cabinetry, millwork, solid surface countertops, and more. Each piece is designed to be installed with ease, and they are known for their drop-it-in-without-cutting philosophy. In 2016, Richardson Industries opened a division that is dedicated to the building of conference tables, lecterns, credenzas, and other high-end furniture on a contract basis for companies, universities, and many other businesses. From the early days as a lumber mill to the days of making cheese boxes and brawl-proof tavern chairs, Richardson Industries continues to grow. And with the needs of the future in mind, we continue to explore ways to provide world-class quality products with a reputation we can stand behind.